I'm picturing now, like, just a picture of, like, one of the My Little Ponies wearing, like, the Assassin's Creed hood. And I'm sure that fan art exists. I don't need to search for it. I'm sure it's
I'm
out there.
sure it exists too.
Who has
it
a
exists too.
100-word summary of the trouble you all are in right now?
I'm finding a YouTube
We're
video
still
of
in
Space Core.
We're still in space.
Space Core.
Space Core. I'm in space.
Yeah, that was the Space Core, Treble. Good. That was
Endless, infinite space.
So
You're
we
never going home
found-
again.
So we found these barmy cultists who are like, you know what? Fine, we're just gonna spend 3 years in orbit and then crash down and die. It's fine. And we think they're all full of shit.
And we're also in kind of a Mexican standoff with a crazy ass gnome who's like, he's like, I'll push the button. I'll kill us all. I don't give a shit.
And Lucius has earned himself the name Donkey Biscuit.
Oh yeah.
I was hoping no one would remember that.
Oh, I
I
remembered.
didn't. He remembers it, so we don't have to.
None of the players remember it, which is fine by me.
I made it a point to remind everybody because I thought perhaps this is where player selective memory would kick in.
No, I wrote it down.
It's like Alex is gonna call him that from now on. Just
My
He's
notes.
just going to be very upset if you call him Donkey Biscuit.
Is Donkey Biscuit like the full name, or is there more? Or is that just like the shortened version?
does there need to be more?
Yes. Like I will point out that every other NPC has like a 3-part name.
No, they don't.
They don't?
There's alpaca macadamia nuts,
Okay.
cow cotton,
Okay, you're right.
and chicken peach, and now
So I was
and now
thinking-
Donkey Biscuit.
I was parsing macadamia nuts as a 3-part name. As a 2-part, is like 2 words. That's why. Gotcha. I see where my mistake was. We can continue.
Treble misunderstood the nuts. So, half of you are trapped in the bottom of this tower, in the bottom 2 floors.
Yep.
So you have access to this like commons room here, and this office, and then this downstairs area, and then part of a staircase going through the secret door from the ground floor, which has been ripped off from the foundation. Whereas Lucius has infiltrated the upstairs observatory floor and has become fairly evident after being up there for a day or two that Stonkmeyer, who has not given himself a weird animal name for whatever reason, is growing increasingly agitated that he does not have access to the bottom floors of the tower. Lots of offhand comments about taking a couple more bricks out of the wall, or maybe flooding the place with water, seeing if they like that. And for her part, Alpaca Macadamia Nuts is continuing to talk him down, basically. Where does Donkey Biscuit sit on this particular opinion? Like, what do you think should be done to the unbelievers in the bottom of the tower?
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you talking to me? I don't acknowledge the name Donkey Biscuit.
You do when the DM says it.
Oh, God. Okay. You're going to have to give me a minute, Brick Road. 'Cause I have to...
Don't blame me for this. I didn't write the adventure. The adventure says the cult members have names, and this is what they are.
What was the name of the one who got fried?
It would have had to be either... Let me see here. Pig wheat or ram sugar. One of those two.
Oh, Ram Sugar is such a good name, though.
Lucius is very much of the opinion that causing any more damage to this thing is likely to cause the whole thing to come apart. and he will definitely be on board for not flushing his friends into space.
Well, are they still your friends? Is my
Yes,
question.
no, absolutely they are.
But you're letting Stompmeyer know that, like, hey man, don't flush my friends into space.
Yeah.
Because he's of the impression that you've abandoned them to join his crew. Like, you have to pick a side. Which side are you on?
I don't see how that's like. No, I don't see how I have to choose a side. Like, given enough time, they will come around.
It is more or less confirmed that, yes, if Stonkmeyer continues to jettison bricks out of the tower, he is ruining the structural integrity of the tower, and this is what's holding, like, the tower and its, I'm sorry, Treble, what did you dub the protective force field enveloping the tower?
We didn't dub it anything. We dubbed space. So Destil called the atmosphere the aerosphere, and
Arrow shell.
Arrow
We decided it was a
shell,
shell rather
and
than
then
a sphere.
we decided space was the contra arrow shell,
So
having no air.
the tower and the contra arrow shell are kind of holding each other in place, and damaging one can do damage to the other. So far, Stonkmeyer is persuaded by these protestations. But he is a completely insane cult fanatic. Meanwhile, downstairs, you guys had learned that this mission is supposed to last for 3 years, at which point the orbit of the rocket would become unstable and it would fall back to the planet and crash and explode, killing everybody on board. And Alex had discovered that Stonkmeyer was not able to do one of his rocket tests, so there should still be enough fuel on board the craft to fire the rockets once by means of course correction.
So I do have one question. I remember that he was, and you can tell me if we wouldn't know this, but I don't remember exactly what information was passed along. He was over here messing with some controls, but it sounded like to me when you described it that they were he was in a panel, like directly messing with wires and not actual controls.
So his controls that he's mucking around with, the panels had been removed from the outside of this dais that the telescope sits on. When those panels are removed, you can see the control paneling on the inside. The buttons and levers and switches and sprockets and gears and whatnot that Stonkmeyer is using to control various aspects of the craft.
Okay, so it's not like, I don't know, I for some reason I got the impression that it was kind of like he couldn't get to the actual control panel, but it doesn't sound like that hearing you say that now.
Right, he has access to that from this observatory floor.
That said, though, it might be worth another look to see if, because we know he wants in the study.
Correct.
Right? He wants in the study, and it sounds
Yep.
like he wants something more than just his spellbook. Obviously, he wants his spellbook. So the only thing that we know the only thing that we surmise he wants is all that math you found. But I don't see where that would be of an immediate gotta have this. So maybe there's a control panel, since we know that hidden in the study.
Well, you guys
like
talk that over. I'm going to step away for just 2 minutes.
So I think checking around again for any more hidden control panels might be a good idea, because he also strikes me as the kind of guy who is, I don't know, a little paranoid, and maybe having extra control panels is the way that his little parent. You're a gnome. How would you do it? Just put Destil on the spot immediately.
How would I do it? I mean, I would make it voice based. I'd put a lock. I'd put a voice print lock on it.
Alexa, shoot us into space. I don't know. That's my suggestion. We look for any like hidden compartments or anything.
And there wasn't anything revelatory about the fireplace, right?
Well, we could go up into the fireplace and it goes into space.
Yeah. But it doesn't go to the third floor, so it's just outside.
So, and then after that, I guess we can. The only thing I can think of to do after that is to burn our way into the compartment underneath, between the second and third floor, with your distressingly large amount of acid.
Right.
And then
Sorry about that. My wife's birthday present just arrived from the Amazons. And the present's intact, but the box that it came in was completely destroyed.
It's like I sent you the picture of the crock pot you got me, right? For our wedding.
Probably. That sounds like something you do.
The box of crock pot came in was pretty sus.
You got the last one on the bottom of the shelf after half of it collapsed on top of it.
I guess, but no, the crock pot works great.
All right. Have you guys come to a plan of attack?
I'm for searching the walls and floors for another. I mean, we've got time. Might as well make sure he doesn't have any more hidden compartments, because in here, basically.
In the office?
Yeah, he wants to be in the study, so there has to be something in the study, and I just don't see enough. Like,
Are we sure it's the study and not actually something on maybe the first floor?
Pretty sure.
Really, nothing on the first
There's
floor.
nothing on the first floor? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that he Lucius got the very specific impression it was the study he wants access to.
Well, the study contains his spell book, and a lot of other essential elements of his library were in there. Because Lucius had learned that Stonkmeyer basically blasted up out into orbit to give himself 3 years to read all these books. And about half of the collection on the tower is in the study. We're locked up in the cabinets. So going through the study with a fine-tooth comb, it doesn't reveal any more secret compartments or anything you haven't already found. Depending on how in-depth you want to get, I mean, we can start disassembling furniture or trying to pry bricks out of the walls, or you guys have been up through the chimney.
All right. I do have another idea, but this is very dangerous, and I think we should try it with Scrappy first.
Uh-huh.
We need to see if we can get outside of the protective shell. If we leave, we can get back in.
Why?
Because we might have to. We're gonna have to mess with the rockets.
Alex had learned that he can, with time, calculate a trajectory back down to the planet, and that there's enough fuel to fire the rockets one more time. But to do the adjustments, somebody has to go outside and actually adjust the physical rockets.
Oh, okay.
And Scrappy doesn't have the manual dexterity to do it.
Well, we haven't tried. I mean, Scrappy might be able to do it.
Right. So. Oh, you know what? I wonder if you're. Oh wait, I don't suppose your helmet of water breathing would let us breathe in.
I mean, A, I don't have one of those anymore, and B, no, it's very explicitly water.
It's actually so explicitly water that in Planescape they had to invent a new spell so you could breathe in places where there was nothing to breathe.
That sounds dumb. Why would anyone do that?
All right. But that's basically my idea. And then past that, we've just got to break through and get. We've got to break through and get up to the controls so Alex can get us home. That's basically it. It basically is going to come to what you and I, what both Connor and Gus thought it was going to come to. Violence.
I just want to make it clear. I am not inherently a violent man.
Yeah, okay.
And Connor just lets that hang awkwardly in the air.
We believe you.
So.
So is it just going to be the status quo for a couple days as you guys...
I thought we were going to get more information from Lucius for some reason. I don't remember what specifically, though.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Did we
I don't remember.
Did we ever establish the chain of getting him to come to the ice wall and I can cast Detect Thoughts on him? And we have a
right.
telepathic link. Has that happened yet?
No reason that can't work, no.
Why don't you, approach it from the sense of we're busy somewhere else and you're wanting to talk terms to him without us present? And we can kind of step to the side where he can't see us. You might be able to get more thoughts from him. Because I imagine if I stand there, all he's going to think about is how I beat him with a hammer.
Oh, hold on. Hang on. This is a dumb idea. No, we can't really do this. Because it only lasts a minute. Detect Thoughts only lasts a minute.
Hey, learn a lot in 1 minute, maybe.
True. But...
So what are we doing as far as testing traveling outside of the tower?
We could do that while you detect thoughts.
I mean, I don't know that we have anything better than tie a rope around Scrappy, let him go out the tower, and Gus pulls him back in.
Right, yeah.
How are we sending Scrappy out of the tower? Which
You can just jump through the door on the first floor.
Okay. So are we tying him off to something in the tower, or is Gus just going to hold the rope?
We're going to tie him off to something in the tower. I guess this is all bolted down, correct?
Yeah.
This got destroyed mostly by a fireball. The furniture in this room when a fireball exploded.
There's bolts and stuff left from holding it down that I could use to build something, though, right?
Yeah, no problem. So you're just going to have Scrappy tie down, then do a running jump out of the door and see what happens?
Well, he doesn't really even... He just needs to push off something.
Okay.
Small step for Badger kind.
Scrappy leaves the front door. We've established that he does not have any need to
No.
to breathe.
Nope.
And he's immune to exhaustion, apparently.
And he's immune to exhaustion. And he floats further and further away from the tower until eventually the rope is taut and he stops moving. And that's about
All right.
it.
I'm going to start hauling him back in.
He does disappear from view fairly quickly
because the tower's spinning.
The tower is rotating, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gus, you don't have much difficulty at all just reeling him back in. You are perhaps struck with a moment of existential dread, figuring, like, what would it be if I was on the other end of that rope, just drifting out, and then somebody just cut the rope?
That'd be a good story about having to roll up a new character. Why'd you have to roll up a new character? Well, Lost in Space. Weren't you playing a fantasy campaign? Yep.
Things happened.
Yeah, you pull Scrappy, and it just takes a few moments. Lucius,
Sir.
you and your people can see this happening from out the windows in your room. You have a good view of the tower all around, and you just watch as Scrappy drifts out. Are you trying to conceal this at all from Stockmeyer? He hasn't noticed yet, but you and Alpaca Macadamia Nuts have.
Yeah, Lucius will attempt to distract him.
Okay, just make a deception check.
Yeah. My character sheet was in the wrong group of tabs when I closed it.
That's an even dumber reason to have to roll up a new character. It was a tab casualty.
Yeah. All right, deception is going to be 13.
Alpaca Macadamia Nuts, her first inclination is to be like, everybody come over and like get a look at this. But you managed to get a handle on the situation much quicker. And so by the time they reel Scrappy back in, instead of the rope winding around the tower as it spins, you managed to keep everybody else away from the window until they get him back in. Alpaca Macadamia Nuts seems, though, to be under the belief that they had thrown Scrappy out the door. This is something that Stonkmeyer, remember, had commanded them to do, and that you all had steadfastly refused. So she's actually excited. She's taking this as a good sign that your former friends are starting to come around. What this means is that she's the only one who saw this spectacle, and she didn't see the part where they drug Scrappy back in. She just saw him drifting away.
Sounds good.
So yeah, downstairs the science experiment goes off without a hitch. Scrappy doesn't seem much worse for wear, having only been exposed for a couple of minutes. I'm led to believe that like intricate mechanical devices like Scrappy being left in a vacuum for extended period of time, probably not a great idea.
I mean, he needs regular maintenance regardless, so.
No, the cold didn't seem to bother him. The lack of air doesn't bother him. No worse for wear. Gus, are you ready to go out there?
Maybe later.
Like, can I just put a fishbowl on my head? All right, what's next?
Got a bladder we could fill with air. Actually, thinking about it, there actually is breathable air in the bag of holding, isn't there? I could stick my head in it.
No, you can't be partly in a bag of holding, though, but you could jump into the bag of holding, catch your breath, but then someone else has to take you out of it.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think you get an airtight seal around the opening of a bag of holding. You just grab the drawstring and pull it. The problem is the tighter you get the seal, like the more you're crushing your windpipe. So kind of a give-take situation.
Listen, we're in a tower that got shot into space.
Reasonable.
I don't think that real life physics necessarily apply.
On the contrary, I think that's all we got. Or as Connor likes to call it, Faye bullshit. Anyway,
What do you have, Connor? Nothing? That was it?
I got nothing. I'm just thinking about what happens when he goes into the study and can't find his damn spell book.
What did you guys do with the spellbook?
Threw it out the window.
Did you really? Yeah, I
Did we
forgot
really?
about that.
I'm pretty sure we did, didn't we?
No,
we didn't. Okay.
The bag of holder.
No.
Oh,
we
right,
threw
it's
the
in my
bag.
bag
Yeah.
of holding. That's right. I wanted to throw it out the window.
Anyway, so Lucius, as another day draws to a close, is there particular information you would try to squirrel out of Stonkmeyer over the course of the day that you can pass along in a dream?
Oh. How to operate this stuff, the stuff to how he was going to operate it to do another test burn is probably going to be a little too suspicious. So Who among the remaining cultists would be most likely to mutiny?
Most likely to mutiny?
Yeah, that's the information Lucius wants to get.
Let's get an insight check.
I'm not very good at those.
You don't say.
That's a 1.
The problem is that they seem to be fanatics. These are people that... I mean, you've been in Tylessus after your whole life, and there are a lot of people in the old boys club of magic that is a little fanatical. Even if there was a mutiny, you're not sure how much use they could actually be. Magic, it's difficult to cast spells up here, but Stonkmeyer is a fairly accomplished wizard.
How bad has this magic stuff been progressing? Like this magic dampening?
After this scene, you're going to have to pass a DC 18 ability check to regain spell slots.
Yeah.
As your orbit gets slowly further and further away from the world. So go ahead and make those checks now as another day comes to a close. And Alex, let's get an investigation check from you. I will let you apply Navigator's Tools proficiency if you have it.
Yeah. I have cartographers, not navigators.
Lucius didn't get his spell slot
Is that
back, but he
so? Just navigators?
It would need to be Navigators, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That is a 18.
An 18. It's going to take you at least a couple more days to work out a trajectory that you think will work. However, at the end of this calculation, which I'm sure you will double and triple check because you only have one chance to get it right, the way it's going to work is basically you essentially can set an arbitrary trajectory. You can crash this bitch anywhere on the surface you want, really. Providing you can get down to the rockets to alter them, and then providing you know how to actually activate firing them. But there's a complication. When it comes to actually going back down to the planet, this is something that I'm going to assume Alex could not have known before now, but which you could probably lecture the rest of us on.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell me what the complication is?
I mean, I'm guessing it's compression heating.
Passing, like, the atmosphere of the world, having only ever been on the world for your whole life, you had never thought of the air and the weather like having weight and pressure and being at all solid. It doesn't make sense. But you're going to be coming in towards the world at such a high speed that you're going to crash into the atmosphere before you crash. I'm sorry, the aeroshell before you crash into the world.
Thank you.
And that's going to manifest as quite a lot of burning.
Again, you said Alex hasn't figured this out yet?
You're kind of putting it together now with that 18. Like,
Okay.
this is another complication you're going to have to... Like, you have to redirect the ship. You have to get the trajectory properly. You've got to pick a crash zone. You have to withstand the burning on re-entry. And you have to survive the crash somehow. Like, you've got a lot on your plate.
And no coffee. Great.
And no coffee.
I have a somewhat terrible idea for surviving re-entry.
Lucius, there is plenty of coffee upstairs where you are. Plenty.
Lucius is drinking a cappuccino.
What is Gus's terrible re-entry idea?
We put everybody in the bag of holding, and Gus like wraps around it to protect it, and just burns all his spell slots on shield and absorb elements, and hope he doesn't die.
The planet doesn't have to roll to hit you, dude. Your armor class does not avail you on re-entry. Is a sentence I've just had to say.
That
I
having
could-
been said, I like the idea of Gus absorbing the arrow shell.
Well, so not shield, blade ward, and because I can gain resistance to bludgeoning damage and resistance to fire damage, and just hope I don't die
You just want to put us in the bag of holding, don't you?
So
a little bit.
I'm going to clarify 2 points. First of all, nobody can climb into the bag of holding unless you shrink way down first.
Alex can probably fit.
Second, if Alex's calculations to this point are correct, no amount of absorb anything or anything ward is going to protect you from this crash.
Like I said, dumb idea.
The
Spitballing here.
What is the fastest thing that Gus has experienced in his life? Like, maybe a really fast horse through open countryside.
Gnomish vodka.
So you guys have a lot of problems to work out. Lucius, you guys have coffee up there. I mean, they have little
Coffee's
mugs.
good.
You put the bean in the cup, you shake the thing, and it's hot coffee. It's just, you have no shortage of provisions.
That's very all well and good. It's just, how do I? So I've got one more spell slot. It's getting harder and harder to actually get a spell slot back, and so I can cast it one more time, and cast Dream one more time, and say, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get back with you next, Alexander. Although I do gain spell slots back on a short rest. Does that mean I get more? I should.
Yeah, you should really be rolling. You really have 24 chances to get your spell slot back over the course of a day. It's just you don't even have your high level, like, what are they, invocations or whatever yet.
Yeah, the invocations. Yeah, it's like 11th level. Yeah, so. Say that. Yeah, no. Lucius will still say magic's getting more and more unreliable as we go further. So, any plan that you come up with, Alexander's likely going to have to be without magic.
So, just to kind of boil this down, you guys have 6 problems you need to solve if you want to survive this adventure. You need to correctly calculate a trajectory back to the planet. You need to physically alter the trajectory of the rockets. You have to figure out how to fire the rockets. You have to select your crash zone down on the planet. You have to survive re-entry, and you have to survive the crash. With good answers to all 6 of these concerns, you should be able to get back down to Dunfoss and get back to work.
What will a C plus get us?
You also haven't mentioned the crazy gnome upstairs who's threatening to remove more bricks from his tower.
That's the easy part.
Is it? Okay.
Comparatively.
All right. Because I feel like Alex has got to do those first 4. I feel like Connor and Gus got to deal with the last 2.
Alex will need, with a couple more of those checks, will probably have this first one, this completing the calculations, pretty much well in hand.
Lucius too. Can't forget about Lucius. Lucius is doing recon work upstairs.
I think we should do the. I think you should do the detect thoughts plan. We lure him down here, and you just.
Okay, if you want to do detect thoughts, I could bring the big diagram up and start asking him questions about it.
Yeah, just bring it up and be like, just tell him I'm downstairs sulking, or whatever, and then just, and just flatter him. Just tell him how amazing it is, and you found it, and you're just and you just have so many questions, and just stroke his ego as much as you can.
Right.
You're the only one that can do that because none of us are smart enough.
If you hadn't interrupted the lecture,
I
would have us out of here by now.
got you there.
I didn't interrupt the lecture. I let him. He stopped the lecture himself. Like, it was his choice to stop the lecture.
Listen, we've all had teachers who stop the lecture if one student stands up.
Connor goes and knocks on the ice wall.
I'm gonna go just over here out of sight.
Yeah, let me grab the big diagram and
Which you have currently, like, rolled out on the ceiling of the room.
yeah, and it was just held up with some gum. So
Xanthan gum.
Lucius,
Sir.
Stonkmeyer tells you to go down and deal with the pests.
And I will.
Then you go down, and the pests are down there on the stairs. Connor is standing there banging on the ice wall, and Alex is behind him, pinning
Do I
the
see it?
schematics to the wall behind him with gum.
Lucius says dryly, well, looks like you guys have graduated to pests now.
Connor says telepathically to Lucius, "This might be a very good way for us to communicate, and I will, as well as I will use detect thoughts on Lucius."
Okay, make a wisdom ability check. Looking DC 18.
Oh, forgot about that part. It's a 14.
A 14, and you expend the slot for detect thoughts, but the spell does not go off.
Lucius thinks really hard at Connor.
Connor, either Lucius is thinking really hard and your spell didn't work, or he just farted.
How many blips would it take for that to go off? Would it just take all 6 of my blips? I forget. Is there 4?
You could spend 4 to give him an auto success.
I think we should save those in times of
For re-entry?
I think starting out this way, it's fine for Connor to not make it, but as things get more difficult and it becomes more of an issue and more of a time crunch, then we start spending blips. Right now, it's okay.
We're still in
We still gotta like work out the kinks, and that's okay because we still have time.
People can be understood through this ice wall, as long as you speak up quite a bit. But you're notified that you've been upgraded to pests.
I will be sure to relay that. Excellent work, Lucius. Thank you. Connor looks frustrated. I don't know if that's visible through the ice wall, but he definitely looks frustrated.
Lucius is similarly frustrated because he is not sharing his special nickname with anyone.
Unless anyone else has any other ideas, I think that's best we got.
All right. So, this is Alex is working on our path back, and then we need to orient ourselves. That's problem 2.
Problem 2 is somebody has to physically move the rockets in a way that Alex prescribes.
Then problem 3 is we've got to get control of the actual controls.
You've got to figure out how to actually ignite the rockets.
Right.
Problem 4 is you have to pick where you're going to bring the rocket down. Like where on the surface you're going to bring it down. The difficulty there being, like, the closer to a population zone you are, the greater margin of error of hurting people, whereas the further away from a population zone you are, the greater difficulty you're going to have to limp back to town.
You know what we could do?
Yeah.
We could crash it into that dwarf mountain, right? Kill all the undead, and then pick Kevin up on and go home.
And then problem 5 is survive re-entry, and problem 6 is survive the crash.
Details.
Well, listen. All I'm saying is, if we aim at the undead mountain, if we fail problem 5 and 6, we've left the world in a better state than than we took out some undead.
Wow.
Also, it'd probably give those soldiers that are still there a really good story. A tower just fell out of the sky and blew up the mountain.
Should send Scrappy up to the roof and carve a big cross at the top first. Counts as a holy projectile now.
Oh man, if you're using a building as a weapon, can you bless it? Like, would that work?
Alex, go ahead and give me another intelligence check for the day's calculations.
Yep.
And Lucius, is there particular information you want to try to pry out of Stonkmeyer over the course of this day?
Lucius wants to observe his probably daily agitation at getting onto the getting to the blow them out into space buttons. Lucius is going to pay attention to those, so that way he knows what not to hit.
Are you chatting him up while you do this, or are you just observing?
I'll chat him up.
Okay. Make me a persuasion check.
Persuasion is 17.
There aren't controls up here per se to fire the rockets at all. What he has controls up here to do is to set a countdown timer. However, part of the control panel he uses has like notes and schematics and things etched all around them, and he shows you a little bit about how they work. And it gives you a couple of ideas. You could initiate another countdown from up here, but it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to do it without Stonkmeyer noticing it. But the way
for launch to burn
a rocket, yeah.
Okay.
But the way that the fuel supposedly works, you might be able to do it manually. You might be able to light these rockets like a candle, more or less. If you knew where the fuel was stored and just applied heat to it, and nature would take its course. The countdown method is far safer, but the candle method, I'm going to go with candle method. The candle method has a much greater chance of escaping notice until the magic happens.
The candle method lets you keep it under your hat. Huh?
I don't wear a hat.
Huh?
I get it, and I hate it.
I am underappreciated, and
So Lucius has worked on your third problem a little bit today. Is anybody working on how to reposition the rockets today?
Okay. Connor, what's your... Okay, so Gus is going to, with letting everybody else know, and we're going to do buddy system here, Connor. You're with me, since Alex is doing math.
Okay.
Is Alex doing math?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We need to test and see what kind of ill effects sticking your, like... Is this going to kill us going outside? Because I imagine at some point we're going to have to be out there. So...
I thought we're sending Scrappy out there.
What if he can't do it? Better to test it now and see how bad it is and know, I think. Because let's face it, and Gus kind of thinks it's going to be me going out there. So I'm going to tie a rope to my chest to me, and I just need you to pull me back in. I'm not jumping all the way out. I'm literally just... I'm literally just sticking a hand through for a couple of seconds to see how bad it is. Like, I'm going to stick my face through.
Okay, I am much more dexterous than I am strong.
I've got a higher Constitution score.
Yes, you do. But
are you volunteering to go into the Contra Arrow Shell?
Oh, you guys are way above the Contra Arrow Shell.
No, the Arrow Shell is the atmosphere. The Contra Arrow Shell is everything else.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's...
Because Contra means without, so it's without air.
Right. All the Spanish-speaking cultures in this D&D world, I had forgotten.
Gus, I will hold the rope. I just want to let you know that I am nervous about holding the rope.
I'm not going outside in the thing. Like you pulling me back in is like an oh shit moment. Like I'm not going. I just, in case for some reason, I don't know, Stockmeyer hits a button and I get sucked out.